it's Iain from R.T.O here. Welcome to another Ladies' Day. Last Tuesday of the month is always Ladies' Day. And today we've got two contrasts. The album ranking is going to be Tina Turner, who sadly passed away on the 24th of May. Born Anna Mae Bullock, and she was a singer, songwriter and actress, and known as the Queen of Rock and Roll. She rose to prominence as a lead singer in the Ike and Tina Turner Revue before launching that successful solo career. She was noted for that swagger, powerful gravelly vocals, and them long legs. And she went to live in Switzerland in 1994, changed her citizenship in 2013, and that's where she passed away. So as a solo artist, she released 10 albums. So we're going to have a look at those 10 albums in a little bit of a tribute to Tina Turner. So coming in at number 10, we have the fourth album, and it was released in 1979, and it was called Love Explosion. On here we have got, joining Tina, Jean-Claude Chavat on guitar, Tony Bonfils on bass guitar, Bernard Acado on keyboards, Andre Cecili on drums, and then a huge people doing trumpets and that. Now those two people that actually were in the Blues Brothers playing trumpets on here, and one of them is Tom Malone and the other is Alan Rubin. So the first track is called Love Explosion. It's okay. I don't like this disco-y sort of sound personally, but it's a good vocal from Tina. Next track is called Fool for Your Love, co-wrote by Leo Sayer no less. It's okay, it's a nice tune. Tina sounds great on it. Sunset on Sunset comes next. Some great guitar work on this. I'm not quite sure who does the guitar solo, but it's pretty good, quite funky, not too bad at all. Music keeps me dancing. It's got that Latino feel to it. I like the trumpets in this. It is a pretty good track. Then we get Icy Home. Sterling performance by Tina, some nice strings on this, pretty good track. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's called Just a Little Lovin', one of my favourite songs. It's a nice little ballad, and it's got a nice little bit of flute on it as well. Then we get You Got What I'm Gonna Get, fine performance by Tina, but not a track that I'm particularly fond of. And then the last track on here is called On the Radio. It just doesn't do nothing for me. It's probably the weakest track on the album. This album, it's okay. Some of the style I'm not that fond of, but Tina still gives it 100%. So I shall give this an R.T.O ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 9, we've got the third album. Now this was released in 1979, and it is called Rough. And it was Tina's first solo album released after her divorce from husband Ike Turner in 1978. So the first track on this one is called Fruits of the Night. Love this track. It's just a great track, great vocal from Tina. Then we have a cover song, and this is The Bitch Is Back. It's a great version of this Elton John song from Caribou, and he does it justice. Next up, The Woman I'm Supposed to Be. Great track, got a great guitar solo in it. Pretty cool. I like that one. Vive la Money, a funky track. Tina is just on fire. Then we have Funny How Time Slips Away. Now this is a song written by Willie Nelson, first recorded by Billy Walker, country singer. And this is a bit bluesy, and I think this is a better version than the original. Up next is a Willie Dixon number called Earthquake and Hurricane. Released. He didn't release it until later on in 1984, but it's not a bad version of this song. Then we get Root Toot Unstoppable Rock and Roller, my favourite track on this album. It's got a great vocal from Tina, really cool. Then we have another cover, and this is Fire Down Below, which is a song from Bob Seger from his band Night Moves. It's not a bad version, certainly a little bit better than the original in my books. Sometimes when we touch a ballad from Canadian pop artist Dan Hill, not a fan of this song, never have been. Didn't like his version, and I don't like this version. Then we got A Woman in a Man's World. Not very keen on this song as well. One of them I'm not particularly fond of. Then we have a track called Night Time is the Right Time. Now this is an old rhythm and blues song recorded in 1957 by Nappy Brown. Other people that have sung it have been Ray Charles, Rufus and Carla and James Brown, sorry, and Tina does a great version of this. Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag here. Some nice tracks on here. So I'll give this an R.T.O ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in number 8 is the 8th album from 1993, and it's called What's Love Got to Do With It, and it served as the soundtrack to the film. So first up we have I Don't Wanna Fight, which was co-written by Lulu, Bill Lawrie and Steve DeBerry. I like this song. It's poppy, it's catchy. So yeah, I like that track a lot. Then we have Disco in Inferno, good version of the song, did it justice. Why Must We Wait Until Tonight? A nice song, a typical Tina song. Just a great vocal. Then we get Stay a While, especially written for this album. It's a really good song. Tina's on fire. Then we get a 1993 version of Nutbush City Limits. I like this as much as I like the original. I think they've got the sound a bit better. Then we got Darling, You Know I Love You, 1993 version. My favourite track on this album. It's a good cover. I think this is the best version of it. Then we get Proud Mary, a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, which I don't like. I don't like this frenzy version of it. Sorry. Then we get a song that we recorded with Ike, A Fool in Love. Really good. You know, solid stuff. Shake a Tail Like a Feather. Otis Haynes and Andre Williams wrote this. Modern version of another great song that she sang with Ike. Then we get the 1993 version of I Might Have Been a Queen off Private Dancer. We'll talk about that a bit later. And then we get the original of What's Love Got to Do With It, which we'll talk about later. And then Tina's Wish, not a bad song. I quite like this. It's a bit of a greatest hits album. Got some good songs on here. So I'll give this a 7 out of 10. And I do like the movie, of course. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we've got the 10th and final album, 24/7, released in 1995. Lots of people are on here, so I'll just think of some of the more outstanding ones. We've got Bryan Adams on here, the brilliant bassist Pino Palladino, Alan Ross on guitar. So there's some good players on this. So the first track is called Whatever You Need. Not a bad song. The drum peep's a little bit off kilter, but it doesn't spoil the song. All the Woman. This is quite a funky track. I like this. Great vocal from Tina. When the Heartache Is Over, sorry. Sounds okay. Yeah, not too bad. Absolutely Nothing's Changed comes next. I don't like the percussion on it, but I do like Tina's vocal. Talk to My Heart. It's not too bad at all. Solid track. Don't Leave Me This Way. Good track. It's a nice ballad. Go Ahead. The highlight of this track is that muted trumpet sound in the background. Really gives it some depth. Then we get a track called Without You. Nothing to do with that song that Nielsen is a really good vocal. Falling, not so keen on that one. I'll Be There, which is written by the Gibb brothers, known to us as the Bee Gees. Tell it's written by them, and it's a great track. But my favourite track is the title track, 24/7. Really soulful and really got a nice beat to it. As ever, Tina sang and gave it 100% on this. Some of the songs are okay. There's one or two that I'm not keen on. Bit of a mixed bag, but I'll still give it an R.T.O ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we've got her debut solo album released in 1974, and it's called Tina Turns the Country On. Tina's on here, Mark Creamer's on guitars, James Burton's on guitar, J.D. Mayness on steel, Glenn Hardin and John Hammond play pianos, Joe Lamano on the bass, Mike Botts on the drums, and Tom Scott does saxophone and recorder. First song on here is a great song called A Bayou Song. It's got that southern feel to it. Great vocal from Tina. Then she does a cover of the song by Chris Christopherson, Help Me Make It Through the Night. A great song, and I think Tina does a great version on there. Then another song written by Bob Dylan, Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. Good version of this song, I don't mind it at all. Another cover then we have If You Love Me, You Let Me Know. Big hit for Olivia Newton-John in 1974. Two different vocal styles, but both very good. I like Tina's version of that. Another Bob Dylan song next, He Belongs to Me. Really good version of that song as well. Then we have another cover, there's lots of covers on here. It's Don't Talk Now, which is a song by James Taylor off his 1968 self-titled album, and she does a really good version of it. Long Time, which is a Linda Ronstadt song, great version. Then my favourite on here is I'm Moving On, which is a Hank Snow track, and I think this is far better than Hank's. There'll Always Be Music, Dolly Parton song, there's a great version of that. Then The Lights, the Love That Our Lights Our Way, really good song. It's a new song, and I think it's a good song. Mostly a covers album, but it's Tina Turner, and I think she does great versions of these songs. I like playing this album, so I should give it an R.T.O ranking of 7.4. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the 6th album from 1986, and it's called Break Every Rule. Lots of people on here, but standout people, we have got Steve Winwood on, who's a synthesizer solo on track 5. Bill Livesey does keyboards on track 3. Bryan Adams plays piano and guitar and backing vocals on one track. Rupert Hine plays all instruments on 8 tracks, 8 and 11. Guy Fletcher's on here as well. So who else is on here? That's Jim Balancer's percussion. Phil Collins drums on a couple of tracks. Who else is on here? That's Tessa Niles and Samantha Brown, backing vocals. So the first track on here is called Typical Male. It's got a very 80s sound to it. The drumming's done by Mr. Phil Collins, and it's a very good song. What You Get Is What You See. Very similar sounding to a modern day Nutbush City Limit. Good track, love it. Two People, typical Tina song here, strong vocal, sang with emotion. Till the Right Man Comes Along, not a particular favourite of mine, but it's listenable. Afterglow, this is a funky old track. I love the keyboard on this. Obviously, the solo's done by Mr. Stevie Winwood. Girls, which is written by David Bowie, and you can tell it's really good. Back Where You Started, great little rocker here. Now this is co-written by Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance, who wrote a lot together. Typical sort of Bryan Adams styled song, and Tina sings it brilliant, and we know that Tina and Bryan have worked together numerous occasions. Break Every Rule isn't too bad. Solid track. Overnight Sensation. This features Mark Knopfler on guitar, and boy can you tell that distinctive sound. I love that track. Just like Paradise Is Here, another track that Mark Knopfler's involved with. He co-wrote these last two tracks. Brilliant stuff. And Tina, as ever, is brilliant. I'll Be Thunder, really good song and a great vocal from Tina, and a great track to end the album. On the whole, I think this is a really good album. I think the latter tracks on this album are pretty extraordinary. Some great collaborations with people, so I'm going to give this an R.T.O ranking of 7.5. Okay, then, coming in at number 4, we go to the second album released in 1975, and it was her last solo album before her separation and departure from Ike and Tina Turner Review. So who's on here? We got Ike Turner does some vocals and producing on here. Ray Parker Jr. Yes, Ray Parker Jr. Ghostbusters, plays guitar. So the first track on here is a cover of a Rolling Stones number called Under My Thumb, a song from the Aftermath album, and it's a great version. Does it justice. Then she does a bash at Let's Spend the Night Together. It's an alright version, but it's a different arrangement, but I still prefer the original. And then, of course, we get Acid Queen from Tommy, which she sings in the movie version, and it's a great song, and I love her version of Acid Queen. Not happy with just doing one track from The Who. She does a version of I Can See for Miles and Miles. Again, she takes these songs and does a different, twists them around, and it's a very good version of it. Then she decides that it'd be fun to do Whole Lot of Love. Did it work? No, it didn't. Then there's a song that she did with Ike, Baby Get It On. I love this song. One of my favourite tunes that she did with Ike. Bootsy Whitelaw is brilliant. Now this is my favourite track, written by Ike. It's a great little rocker and a great vocal from Tina. Pick Me Tonight, another Ike song. Great track. Saxophone is brilliant. The bass line is. Tina's on fire. And then the last track, Rockin' and Rollin'. Love the horns on this. Great track. I like this album. It's a very good album. Half of it's covers, of course, but who cares? It's got the brilliant Acid Queen on it. I just love playing this album, so I'm going to give it an R.T.O ranking of 7.6. Okay then, number 3. It's the 9th album, released in 1996, and it's called Wildest Dreams. Lots of people on here, so I'll just go through some of the prominence. As she did Sting does a song, Barry White, actor Antonio Banderas is on this, Sheryl Crow does some backing vocals, and some orchestral arrangements is done by the brilliant Anne Dudley, known for her work on soundtracks and of course The Art of Noise. Also we've got Neil Tennant from Pet Shop Boys, Lol Creme from 10cc as well, Trevor Horn, producer and singer from Yes and Buggles, Tessa Niles, who's worked with Mike Oldfield, Miriam Stockley, who's worked from Brian May, and the Durham Cathedral Choir. So there you go. So the first track on this one is called Do What You Do. Love this track, love the guitar work on it, fantastic. Whatever You Want, not to be confused with Status Quo. Another good track, great vocal from Tina. I love this song as well. Missing You, now this is a cover of the John Waite song. It's good, but not as good as John Waite's. On Silent Wings, now this features Sting, two totally different singers. You've got this gravelly Tina and this high-pitched Sting. Works well together, I do like that. Then we get Thieves of Hearts. Quite funky, not too bad. Now, we get a track called In Your Wildest Dreams. Now, this features a bit of the actor Antonio Banderas and also Mr. Barry White. Yes, not a bad track. Written by Mike Chapman and Holly Knight. Then we got my favourite track on this album, and it's the song they used for the Bond film GoldenEye. Love this track. One of my favourite Bond tracks. And of course, it had to be my favourite track on this album. Then we get Confidential. Now, this is written by Chris Lowe and Neil Tennant. The Pet Shop Boys. Now, Neil provides the vocals and plays the keyboard. This was a demo that Tina released, and they've done it. And it's a great version of it. I like it. Something Beautiful Remains, another song that's okay. All Kinds of People, co-wrote by Sheryl Crow, and she soon's backing vocals on this, and you can just about hear her. Unfinished Symphony. Now, yeah, this is a song by Massive Attack. It's different, but quirky. And Dancing in My Dreams, an interesting song. Got lots of atmosphere on this. I do like this. It's probably the longest track that Tina's ever recorded, and it's a little bit different for her, and I do like it. A really good album here. Some interesting tracks on here. She always puts the odd cover that she turns upside down. But I do like listening to this album, and I'm going to give it an R.T.O ranking of 8 out of 10. So my number 1 and 2. Two brilliant albums. There's not much between them. So, coming in at number 2, we've got the 5th album released in 1984, and it's the brilliant Private Dancer. Lots of people on here, but people that are, you know, Gary Barnacle plays saxophone, great musician. Jeff Beck, he's on here as well. Another great saxophonist, Mel Collins, that appears on everybody's albums, is on here as well. John Isley plays bass guitar on this as well. David T. Walker guitars. There's lots of people on here. So the first track is a brilliant track and one of my favourites off this album. I Might Have Been Queen. Classic. Great vocal. Just a great song. Then we get the brilliant What's Love Got to Do With It? One of my favourite songs by Tina Turner. Absolutely top drawer stuff. Show Me Some Respect. Now this is a good track, but you can actually sing the words to Nutbush City Limits to this. Yes, I've tried it. Then we have a great cover of Ann Peebles' 1973 hit I Can't Stand the Rain. One of my favourite versions of this, the other version being by The Commitments. Then my favourite track off this is the brilliant track written by Martin Knopfler, Private Dancer, one of the greats. Absolutely killer track. Let's Stay Together, which is a great cover of the Al Green track, and I think this one just pips it for me. It's just a brilliant version. Then we have a track written by Holly Knight and Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin. It's called Better to Be Good to Me. Now this was first came out by a band called Spider, not the Spider, the rock band, but from New York, which Holly Knight was a member of. But Tina's version was more successful, and it's the best version of it. Great. Then we get a great little rocker called Steel Claw. Great guitar work because it's Jeff Beck. It's going to be good. Great track. And then the surprising track on here is her version of The Beatles' Help. She's turned this into a ballad. It's got Jeff Beck playing on it. The guitar works great, and I think this is a great version of it. It's a little bit different, and she does a great version of it. And then she ends it out with another cover, a song called 1984, which of course is a song off Diamond Dogs. It's a great version of it, and I think she does this song justice. Okay, an absolutely brilliant album. fond memories of this. I saw Tina on this tour, and she had Bryan Adams supported it. It was a great concert. So I'm going to give this an R.T.O ranking of 8.4. So my favourite by just a smidge. It's the 7th album from 1989, and it's Foreign Affair. People that joined her on here again, some great people. Dan Hartman, remember him from Instant Replay? Sings on here, writes some songs. We've also got Rupert Hine on here, Casey Young, Neil Taylor, Pat Thrall's on here, Mark Knopfler. Got some singers as well. Tessa Knowles is back. So that, and Holly Knight is on here as well. Gary Barnacle does saxophones. So the first track on here is my favourite track by Tina Turner ever. The brilliant Steamy Windows. Just love it. That's followed up by a song written by Mike Chapman and Holly Knight and Dan Hartman, The Best. Great catchy chorus. What do you expect from Mike Chapman? One of my favourite songs by Tina. Then we get, you know, get this right, this is a mouthful. You Know Who, in brackets, is doing you know what. Written by Dan Hartman. Funky sound, proper disco-y sort of thing. It's a fantastic little bit track. Then we have a great track called Undercover Agent for the Blues. I just love this. Great blues guitar in it. The horns are great. Look at Me in the Heart. It's got that Phil Collins feel to it, that percussion that Phil used through the 80s. I like that track. Some great guitar work on that. Also next is Be Tender With Me, Baby. Very power ballad. A little bit cheesy in places, but Tina's got such a powerful and emotional voice. It works. You Can't Stop Loving Me. Very funky. I love the keyboards in this. Really good. Ask Me Now. Ask Me How I Feel. Not one of my favourites, but it's a great vocal. Falling Like Rain, again, love lots of atmosphere. The keyboards in this are good. It's very 80s, but Tina sings great on it. I Don't Want to Lose You, another of my favourite tracks. Classic. She always gives these songs that personal touch. Not Enough Romance. Great vocal from Tina. And the great Foreign Affair, which reminds me a little bit of On the Beach by Chris Rea. And it's got some nice work for Mr. Mark Knopfler. Great way to end the album. Great album. There's so many great tracks on this. Some of my favourite tracks that Tina ever recorded. And I played this as much as Private Dancer, but this one just got the nod. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 8.5. So there we go. There's my little tribute to one of my favourite female singers. And I'm so glad that I saw her way back in 84. Long time ago now, but I've seen her. Okay. Next up is the cultural part of the week, where we're going to look at my favourite songs by Hayley Westerner. Looking forward to that. So join me for that later. Bye for now.